Hi guys, welcome back to Garage Gossip. My name is Mara, and today we will be talking about the Australian Grand Prix and also a little teeny bit about the Shanghai Grand Prix because you know it or you don't. This week is also race week, which is so freaking exciting. So yeah, let's jump straight into it because I have quite a lot to talk about today. Alrighty, so obviously we're gonna start with Australia. It would be weird to start with Shanghai and then go on to Australia. So we're gonna start with Australia. Um, yeah. So free practice. I did not watch FP1. I woke up on Friday to I woke up on Friday and I went on my phone and was like, oh, FP2 is still live. I can still watch like the last 10 minutes was it. And so I went on and I saw that Ollie was not on track. And you guys know I love Ollie. Ollie is my favorite driver. So Ollie was not on track, and I was like, guys, what's happening here? What's going on? And then he talked about his crash, and I was like, what? Hold on, guys. Rewind. Ollie crashed in FP1. I was like, what do you mean? So I finished watching FP2. I don't even know who was fastest. I think it was like Charles. I think Charles was the fastest. So I finished that. And then I was like, I need to watch this crash. Like, I need to know what Ollie Bear went through. So I rewatched this crash, and it was good that I knew he was gonna crash. Because if I hadn't known he was going to crash, so like if I had watched FP1 live, and I would have seen that crash happening live, I would have freaked out. I would have freaked out because I know myself. But it was good that I know that I was going to watch him crash. You know, you get what I mean? I don't know if you get what I mean. But yeah, that happened. But those are the only two things that I remember from free practice. And then FP3 did not watch it because obviously Australia, Belgium, the timings do not work here. So then on Friday, actually, as well, I also watched F2 qualifying. And I'm going to mix that in here because that's the only thing I want to talk about for F2. F2 qualifying, I kid you not, it was so freaking chaotic. I was expecting, the same as last season. Because last season it was everyone was doing their own thing, but they were not like in the way of someone else. This time it looked like a freaking race. And even Sebastian Montoya said it on the radio, like, yeah, it's just a freaking race out here. And I was like, yes, you're right. I don't like you, but you are right. Yeah, just like, I don't know, it was so chaotic, and I don't even remember who got pole. I think it was, no, I do remember. It was Gabriel Mini, but he then lost pole because he was penalized for, I don't know what. He got a 2 places grid penalty. So pole went to Victor Martins instead. Yeah. And then also, what I didn't know before watching qualifying of F2, there were 3 teams who got a 10 places grid penalty for the round of Australia because they did something wrong in preseason testing, because F2 has preseason testing as well, but it's just not streamed on anything. They did something wrong there, and so now they got a 10 places grid penalty for the Australian Grand Prix. And those teams were, and I have to check my little papers here. I actually don't know because the teams are not on my papers. Those teams were Dams, Lucas Oil, so Jack Crawford and Kushmaini. Trident, I think. Yes, Trident with Sami Megatonev. Megatonev. Whatever. And Max Esterson. And then, what team is that? What team? Rodin Motorsports. With Amaury Cordale and Alexander Dunn, which is Dunn apparently, and it not June that I said in my last, I don't know what episode, but I said Dune. I said June, like the movie Dune, but it's Dunn because it has 2 N's. Like, that's what I gathered from the F2 qualifying. But like the sprint race did not watch because I was like, I actually want to watch it because Luke Browning and Dino Beganovic were starting P3 and P4, and those are my favorite drivers, so I was like, I kind of want to watch it. But then I looked at the timing, and I saw that it was just not doable. It was like, what was it? 4:15, I think, something like that. And I was like, technically it's not that early, but it's still too early. So I did not watch it. Sprint results, if you want to know. P1 was for Joshua Dirksen, P2 for Leonardo Fornaroli, and P3 for Luke Browning. So yeah, that was the podium. And then the feature race, which was on Sunday, got cancelled. If you didn't know, yeah, the rain was just too heavy, and apparently they really tried to race. I didn't wake up for that, which I'm very grateful for that I did not wake up, because I was also like, I kind of want to wake up for it, but then I was like, but it's like at, I think it was like 1:30 in the night, and I was like, guys, that's just, I can't do that. But I'm happy I did not wake up for it, because it was cancelled due to the having rain. Like, apparently they really tried to make it work and race, but it was just not, because obviously the F2 cars don't have the same amount of grip as the F1 cars. So yeah, that were the F2 updates just sprinkled in here. Back to F1. So yeah, free practice, did not watch any of the free practices except for that in the last 10 minutes or so of the FP2. But then came qualifying. And yeah, we have to talk about it. So Ollie, I was so excited. I saw him going out on track and I was like, yes, Ols! Yeah, if you know what happened, you know what happened. His gearbox, and I was like, no! Come on, guys. This was not the weekend for Ollie, but I'm happy that it wasn't his first. I'm happy it wasn't his debut weekend. Like, yeah, he has already 3 Grand Prix under his belt. Like, this was his 4th, so it's fine. He had a great debut last season with Ferrari, so that's okay. But still, I was a little bit heartbroken. Quite a lot, actually. Anyway, yeah, what I gathered from qualifying, and I think a lot of people saw this, but I thought about this like this. So we know, like, Q1, who was eliminated, Ollie Bearman, obviously, because he didn't set a lap. Esteban Ocon, Liam Lawson, Nico Hülkenberg, and Kimi Antonelli. So obviously, those 3 rookies, Bearman, Lawson, and Antonelli, those rookies, in my opinion, those are the 3 of all the rookies. Like, we have 6 rookies in total. Okay, I'm counting Liam in there with the rookies. We have 6 rookies in total, right? We have 3 rookies that are very highly rated and very pressured because they are so highly rated, because they have either already driven a Grand Prix or we see the potential that is in that certain driver. And then we have the 3 other rookies that aren't that highly rated because we haven't seen much of them. And I think you can already guess what rookies are in what category. The most pressured rookies, in my opinion, Oliver Bearman, obviously, because he has driven great Grand Prix last weekend, last season. Liam Lawson, also because he has already done, like, he has already driven some great Grand Prix weekends. And then Kimi Antonelli, because we just know the potential that is in that man. Like, he skipped Formula 3, which has never been done before. He had an amazing first season in F2, and then immediately after that first season in F2 went to F1, which is insane. And then the 3 other rookies, obviously, that I haven't mentioned, Jack Doohan, Gabriel, Bortoleto, and Isack Hadjar. Those 3 rookies are, in my opinion, the least pressured rookies of the 6. And so what I found very interesting is that the 3 most pressured rookies were all out in Q1. And okay, Ollie couldn't have... yeah, it's not his fault. But Liam Lawson and Kimi Antonelli both made mistakes that cost them their lap. Kimi went over the gravel, over the curb too hard, and that damaged his floor. And then Liam had a slider in the last sector and went on the grass, and that just also cost him his lap because he had to go into the pit lane because otherwise he would have crossed the pit lane line, and you're not allowed to do that. So yeah, I found that very interesting. And yes, obviously, Gabriel Bortoleto was in P15, so he also didn't do that much of a great qualifying. Jack Doohan was in P14, which actually I think he could have gotten. I think Q3 is maybe a little bit too far, but he would have been higher up if Lewis hadn't had that slider in the last sector when Jack was coming through. And then Isack Hadjar, P11, which is insane. First qualifying, I think that is a very good result for a first qualifying. Also, in a Racing Bulls. In a Racing Bulls. We have to acknowledge that. Yeah. I mean, that car looked pretty good, even in the hands of Yuki Tsunoda. Like P5 for Yuki, that was also insane. But I think it's just interesting to see that the 3 most pressured rookies were all out in Q1, and the other 3 got through to Q2. That being said, we also need to talk about the rookie curse. Because I deemed it the rookie curse. First we had Ollie Bearman in the free practice sessions. Not doing it great. Then we had Ollie Bearman's gearbox issue. Then we had Liam Lawson and Kimi Antonelli not setting that great laps in qualifying. And then came the Grand Prix. We had Isack Hadjar going off. And I will talk about Isack later as well. With Isack Hadjar going off in the formation lap. Then we had Jack Doohan going off in the first lap of the Grand Prix. And then we had Gabriel Bortoleto and Liam Lawson also crashing later on in the Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso as well, which is kind of also rookie. Yeah. That I deemed that as the rookie curse. Because what the hell? This was not the weekend for the rookies. And I feel so bad for the rookies because they just want to perform and they just want to show that they are in the right place. Definitely, for example, like Jack Doohan, he is so pressured from all the reserve drivers that Alpine have. That plus it was also his home Grand Prix, so he didn't want to just do one lap, not even a full lap. Well, technically he did, like the formation lap, but it's so sad. It's so sad. Yeah, I felt for the rookies this weekend. I was like, oh, my babies. Yeah. I mean, Kimi Antonelli, great debut. we gotta also say that. Kimi Antonelli, P4, insane on your debut, fucking insane. He could have been on the podium. He could have been on the, and I mean that, he could have actually been on the podium. If he was closer to George and Mercedes would have let the 2 race, I think Kimi could have been on the podium. Yeah, actually, like, genuinely. Just insane debut. But still, the rookie curse was a real thing this weekend. Obviously, the Isack Hadjar crash, we need to talk about it. Because, firstly, that crash was so painful to watch because obviously we all wanted the rookies to have a great Grand Prix, I think. I don't think there's anyone, except for the person that put the curse on the rookies, I don't think there's anyone out there not wanting the rookies to have a great Grand Prix. And I know a lot of people said, F1 doesn't need all these rookies. Well, I think it does. But this was just not that weekend. Which also, that weather, the weather they had to drive in on the Grand Prix Sunday, it's not that easy. We saw Fernando Alonso, who is the driver with the most experience on the grid, also crash. Carlos Sainz also crashed. So honestly, it's not that easy to drive in. It's not. So yeah, I just need everyone to shut up about the rookies not being, like, not deserving to be there, because they do deserve to be there. They just need a new weekend, which they will get in Shanghai this weekend, where they will have 2 races because we have a sprint weekend on our hands. Yeah, I felt so bad for the rookies. I was like, oh, you guys really deserve better. But obviously, Isack Hadjar, that was a moment where I literally just woke up, right? I was excited for the Grand Prix. I was a little bit scared because of the weather. And then they showed Isaac's crash. And at first I was like, who is it? Because obviously they didn't show his numbers. I was like, Racing Bulls. It could either be Yuki or Isack. Then they showed number 6 on the car, and I was like, Isack, no! That was, oh, I felt so bad. And he sat in his car for like quite a while, and I was like, oh, Isack dear, and then they kept on showing him with his helmet on, just like his hands near his eyes, and I was like, I know he's crying, and I feel so bad, and I just want to go through my screen and hug him because he deserves a hug. And then came Anthony Hamilton, and I appreciate him so much. I think that was really what Isack needed in that moment, because I don't know if his parents were there. I know for Ollie, his parents were there, so I thought about this with one of my best friends as well. Like, I really think it's a good thing for Ollie Bearman, for example, that his parents were there so that they could console him after his crash in FP1 and in FP3. But I don't know if Isack Hadjar's parents were there. So I felt really, yeah, I really appreciated Anthony Hamilton just going out there and just, telling Isack that it's okay and that he will get new chances to prove himself. I really appreciated that. Did I tear up? Absolutely. Like, yes. Yes. It was too early for all those emotions, but I did tear up. But talking about Isack Hadjar's crash, we also need to acknowledge Helmut Marko. Because I don't know if you know what he said. He has said that Isack Hadjar showing his emotions is embarrassing. Now, it's 2025, Helmut Marko. I need you to realize that this is not your place to say stuff like that. It's just, I don't know how to put this into words, but I just get I get so infuriated about Helmut Marko saying stuff like that. And this is not like, this is the reason why I don't want any drivers that I like, well, actually any drivers at all in the Red Bull teams. Because next to Max Verstappen, even if it's just in the Racing Bulls in the B team, next to Max Verstappen, they mean nothing to Helmut Marko. And it's just, the Red Bull teams, both teams, they're, I think, both really focusing everything on Max Verstappen because they created Max Verstappen. Like, Max Verstappen was obviously already a good driver when he entered F1, but giving him the car that he has had the past few years really helped create him, if you get what I mean. And they have quickly fired Alex Albon, they have quickly fired Pierre Gasly, they have quickly fired Daniel Ricciardo, stuff like that. It's just not really helping new drivers coming into the teams because they know that they have to do good in order to not be quickly fired, like Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon and Daniel Ricciardo. So being in a Red Bull seat, either if it's the A team, like a Red Bull Racing, or it's Racing Bulls, the B team, that being in one of those seats comes with so much pressure because if you don't perform well, you are out. And I think that scared Hadjar. And I think it's also really like kind of scaring Liam Lawson. But Isack Hadjar really felt that. And so him crashing out in the first lap and then showing his emotions is not, for me, it's not embarrassing. It's just showing his strength and showing that he is proud enough to show that he is sad. I don't know if you get what I mean, but I hope Isack doesn't care about Helmut Marko, but obviously he will because he is the person that is in charge of him. But yeah, that just needed to be said. Then what else did I write down? Yeah, another random thing. If you would have told me before the season started that Williams and Sauber would be in front of Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship, I would not have believed you. But it is true. It is true, which is insane. But yeah, Ferrari, I don't know, they just fucked up with the strategy. They fucked up with the strategy. And at one point, Lewis was leading the race, but that was when they fucked up with the strategy. Because like, I was kind of happy Lewis was leading, but I was like, no, this is not gonna last long. They were literally just slithering around on their slicks. Lewis even said it, like, if you would have told me on the radio that there was gonna be so much rain, I would have told you guys when you come in. And that is for Williams as well. I saw this on the post-race show. James fouls. Carlos crashed out, like, first lap of the race, right? And then Carlos, he was on the pit wall when the rain came again in lap, I don't know, whatever it was. And apparently Carlos said, like, yeah, Ferrari is going to stay out on slicks, so we need to come in. And it's so interesting that, I don't know, I obviously knew that Carlos was going to help Williams. And get great point, obviously, because he is a racing driver for Williams. But it never really occurred to me that he would know so much of what Ferrari was like could and probably would do with their race strategy. It just, I don't know, it just intrigued me in some kind of way. But yeah, Ferrari's under Kick Sauber and Williams in the Constructors' Championship, which is insane. Also, and I don't know if this is true, but I saw this on a Belgian media channel. Apparently, this is the first time since 2022 that Max Verstappen is not leading the World Championship. Like, the first time ever that Max Verstappen is not in the number one spot. Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was a cool stat. Yeah. And I mean, it is, for me, I've seen so many people online saying, like, is Lando Norris going to be world champion? And as much as I want that, I'm not going to say he is. Because it's still too early. This was race 1 of the 24 that we have this season. Everything can change. There's new regulations coming in this season, like in Barcelona, something about the flexi wing is changing, and like stuff like that could change the whole championship. So I think it's just too early days to say anything about who is going to be world champion. And I know in 2023 we said Max Verstappen is going to be world champion after the first round, but I think it's too early. And yes, McLaren's pace was quite impressive, but still, I think it's too early. Yeah. Yeah. But no, honestly, the Australian Grand Prix was fun to watch, and I'm happy that I woke up to witness that live, even though it cost me a lot of heartbreak, a little bit of tears. I was really rooting for Oscar, but then the Australian Home Grand Prix curse struck. So yeah, I was actually rooting for Oscar to win, and like the moment that McLaren told Oscar not to race Lando, I was like, guys, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And then a few laps, I think it was like 4 laps after, when there was again a big gap between Lando and Oscar, they told him he could race, but we all knew they should have let him race before. You get what I mean? And I don't know if they would have let them race, if it would have meant anything. This, with Oscar's slider in the lap, I don't know what it was, but yeah, whatever. Next week, well, no, this week. I'm sorry. This week, like I said, we're going to Shanghai, which is, like I also said in my last episode, one of my favorite circuits. I don't know why I like it. It's just so fun. We have a long straight. We have actually 2 long straights. But we also have some corners, and it's so fun. I really like it. But one, sprint weekend, guys. Sprint weekend, which means 2 qualifying sessions and 2 races, okay? So remember that. And only 1 free practice session. Remember that. Just, yeah, so you know. 2, F1 Academy is also racing there, and they have a wildcard entry, so I'm really recommending you to watch. 3, I am hoping for a redemption arc of Isack Hadjar, but also of all the other rookies, because they deserve it. They deserve it. And I think because the sprint format is something that some of the rookies are kind of familiar with, because obviously we have it in F2 as well, and we have Antonelli and Bearman coming, and Hadjar and Bortoleto, I'm sorry, going straight from F2 to F1. So I feel like those 4 are going to be more comfortable with the sprint weekends. But I hope that their cars perform well. Definitely for the Haas guys. I just hope they perform better than they did in Australia, because this weekend was not their weekend. Yeah, I'm excited for it, because I think it would tell more about the pace of some teams, because like we've now had 1 Grand Prix, and we saw certain teams be very strong, or certain teams be not so strong. But we also had the weather conditions in the mix, and so I'm curious to see how the teams will perform in China, because that will tell us, I think, more about the pace of the cars. If it doesn't rain, obviously. Yeah, I'm just so excited. Also, F1 Academy is so excited for that. I have a prediction for F1 Academy, and I think Dorian will be world champion. It's what I call him as well, because she looked so strong last season. And okay, this is a circuit they haven't raced on last season, but yeah, I really think Dorian will win. I'm thinking if there's anyone else that potentially could win. Maya Wuch, potentially, but I think, yeah, I don't know. I think it might be Dorian that wins, which would be good, because she's not allowed to do a third season at a rate, so she has to leave anyway. But yeah, that's it. That's everything I had on today. Well, for today's episode. I don't know if there will be an episode next week, because I'm going away on a little trip with school. I don't want to go. Okay, we have to do some interviews in French, and my French sucks, like literally sucks. So I don't want to go, but we have to. So yeah, but it's next week, and I'm gone from Tuesday till Friday. So I don't know if I will be able to record an episode, but maybe I will. I don't know. It depends on when I am able to record it. Like, I could potentially record it on Sunday, because the race is so early, obviously. But then I have to edit it as well on Sunday, and you guys, it really takes a long time to produce an episode. But I don't know. We will see. I will keep you updated on my Instagram account, obviously. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you will enjoy your Shanghai Grand Prix. It's insane that we're already at the second race weekend. Like, the winter break, it was so long. But now that we're racing again, it feels like time's flying. I don't know what it is. It just feels like time is freaking flying. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you will enjoy whatever you do this weekend. And on YouTube, I will see you again maybe next week, maybe the week after. And on Spotify, you will hear me again maybe next week, maybe the week after. So yeah, that's it. Bye!